Good evening, viewers. I'm Nadeem Kadir with another episode of Afterthoughts. And today, our guest is Mohammad A Arafat, a faculty member of the School of Business of the Independent University in Dhaka. And naturally, the week past is what we cover in this program. And today, we will be focusing on two issues particularly. One is the issue regarding the opposition lawyers and the chaos in the High Court, and of course, the report in the Economist Magazine. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start with the home front. We'll go to the Economist later on. How have you analyzed this whole situation, the chaos in the court and the deployment of police to arrest some of the
lawmakers, who happens to be the lawyers also.
Right. And three of them have been arrested, including one MP. So what is your analysis on that?
Well, I think these kind of events are very negative sign, because there are certain things, some of the components of democracy or democratic system, court being one of them, is a very important, they've so significantly contribute in strengthening the democracy. And if some things like that happens in the premise of the court, this is really dangerous, in my opinion. If you look into the whole thing, what happened, if we have to go back to some of the comments being made by the leader of the opposition on the constitution, and also there's another political leader, we all know, Mr. Amini, and it was very derogatory, the comment that was made on the constitution. Both of them wanted to throw the constitution
into the bin.
One of them wanted to throw it to the dustbin. I think constitution is something, there's certain things that we have agreed upon, and so we have an unanimous agreement as a citizen of this country that will be respectful. The national flag.
That's the base of this nation.
Absolutely, the national flag, the national anthem, the constitution, especially the constitution. So, but if we start, making comments like this, this is not going to go anywhere. So, I think the government needs to be very cautious and very strong in responding to this kind of comments. But what happened is, it's another citizen, eminent citizen in our country. We know Shahriar Kabir. He is a columnist and a journalist. He actually went to the court and he went for seeking justice, and he's the one who brought in charges against these two. Especially this particular one was against Amini, right? Yes. But in the process, because it was a pretty similar comment, the name of Khaleda Zia, the leader of the opposition, it came up in the process, and that was actually created a problem. On the part of the opposition's lawyers, that was the complaint, that it was not against Khaleda Zia. They seem to see it quite, politically motivated on the part of the judge. But actually, from the point of view of the judge, what he said, it came up automatically. And the observation that was given, if at all the honorable leader of the opposition, Khaleda Zia, had made such comment, then she shouldn't have done it. So that was basically the observation. There was no such specific, the observation of verdict against it. But what happened subsequently, right after this, what we saw is the kind of, they hurl things toward the judge. This is unprecedented, unheard of, and this kind of thing is definitely going to damage the image and the reputation of the court, and court being one of the basic pillar of the democracy. I think this needs to be taken to task very strongly. I mean, irrespective of the political party and the party affiliation.
There has to be some kind of example set that you cannot do anything that you want in a courthouse or anywhere else. There should be certain guidelines everyone has to follow. It's just that I felt like doing this, so I did it. But
absolutely, I totally agree with you. Like, because the certain things that we have actually agreed upon unanimously, as I said.
If you talk about rule of law, and they are the people who are supposed to protect the law.
That's another. If you go into this philosophical argument, this is such a shame. Like, what are you going to tell about the other citizens in our country? I mean, what are you going to tell them? Like, if somebody is not abiding the law, those who are actually supposed to protect this, and in that very sacred premise, things like that is happening, is really very pathetic, very sad.
Right, but on the other hand, there is also a talk that this kind of actions, also the deployment of police to arrest one of the lawyers who has taken shelter in the bar president's office, is also not fair.
Absolutely. I mean, they're trying to use the office to protect and to dodge around the rule of law. I mean, this is also not a good example that being set, I would say. I think we all should be very respectful.
How harmful is it for democracy? Both
Absolutely it is.
Both for the lawyers who have done this and both for the government, which has deployed a police in the court premises to arrest this particular gentleman.
You know, it is very unfortunate that we had to do it. The government had to deploy the police in that premise. If you go back to that particular day's event, that in the very beginning the police was there in the courthouse, and the opposition, from the opposition side, they actually demanded the police has to be ousted from there. And the Attorney General, in his initiative, the police and all the law enforcement agencies, they were taken off from that premise. But what happened afterward? Then how do you maintain a lawful situation? Unless you have to have certain mechanism to do it. And police and all these things are there for this. So we don't expect that. We need to make sure the environment being proper by deploying police in the premise of court. That's going to be the most pathetic and saddest thing to do.
Absolutely. And when you look at Bangladesh's journey into democracy, it has not been a very smooth one.
Absolutely not.
Ups and downs.
We have stumbled so many occasions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In such incidents, where does democracy stand? I mean, where do we go?
Well, of course,
because many of my friends who, from abroad, who are not accustomed to our
they can't even imagine
system.
this kind of thing.
So they keep on asking that: will you continue to have democracy, or what is happening?
No, I want to be optimistic. I mean, I don't want to be that pessimistic, or just because of something like that had happened, that I would lose my hope. The future of Bangladesh. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not one of them. Actually, the democracy has progressed in Bangladesh. As you mentioned yourself, that after our independence, we have stumbled in many occasions, but we came back. And I think the force that is the positive force, the progressive force, and the force that wants to take the country forward are actually now quite powerful and coming big in Bangladesh, in our society. And I see a brighter future of this country from the point of view of the economic development doing pretty good, and also and some of the institutions that we know are very important in democracy. We have to go through a reform process, and you have to try to strengthen all this. We're getting some of these hiccups, and that is okay, but we have to be very careful about all this, and we have to make sure that we deal with this very properly, and of course within the basic framework of law. That's how we need to be dealing with all this.
Right. Let's hope it ends well. But coming to the story in The Economist that has really shaken, I think the government is itself in a shock.
Right.
Most people who have gone through it are in a shock. Myself, as a journalist, I went through the whole article, and there's no attribution to serious things that have been written. So I think the most what would I say? The most serious thing that has been said without any attribution is that the ruling Awami League of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina came to power with Indian money and Indian brains. Right. So, how have you analyzed this particular story yourself?
Well, yes, I did. I've gone through it, and something you just mentioned. Well, you can claim anything and anything that you want to, but you have to substantiate that by providing enough evidence.
I tell you, if I had written it, I had to throw it away, or if I didn't have a proof of it.
Absolutely. And also at the same time, what I see is the way the people of this country should look at this particular sentence is a big humiliation for us.
Absolutely.
For our democracy. But do we believe that? Don't you believe that the election that held in 2008 was a democratically free and fair election?
It was internationally recognized.
And also the opinion of the people had reflected through this election. And if you try to say something like this, it's a big humiliation. If some of the people want to derive some kind of pleasure out of this sense and think that they got some weapon to sort of succumb the opposition,
Right.
I would like to tell them this is a kind of humiliation that comes on to you as well as a nation. So this is not an attack to one particular political party at the government. This Awami League being one of the biggest political party in the government and got elected through the election, free and fair election. If you're bringing in such an accusation, this is actually an humiliation to the whole nation. And by doing that, I think we need to come out of this kind of politics. But
You've also seen the rejoinder the government sent, but I don't think that it's a perfect rejoinder. It should be very strong.
I think it should have been
It's a regular rejoinder.
much more stronger, more effective, and more straight. And it should have condemned very strongly, because the article did what I've gone through myself, and it doesn't have any merit whatsoever. It's just like some street leaflets and stuff like that, and
Absolutely.
it's something that can be written by an undergraduate student or something like this out of his imagination or something. I don't understand the article like this, but sometimes I thought it might have been produced, backed up by some kind of
Some
lobbying
influence
effort or some influence or something like this. It is not unlikely, because some of the tone of this article, the way the government has been accused, it is not unheard of in our country. We see this kind of accusations within the political environment.
Yeah, they have even criticized how Sonia Gandhi was welcomed to, in Bangladesh, and the words used here, the chirped, the relations are now very excellent. So it's a something that
This is very provocating.
very provocative and very negative, because two neighbors, they would always try to, and India is a big neighbor here, it's a regional power already.
No, like the way
So
I see
you have
this,
to work things out to move forward.
Absolutely. Just look at this here. The border that we share, that is the longest border between any two countries in all over the world. So is there any way that we can change our neighbor? There's no such way that you can do it. So what is the best option that you do? The best option is we try to get the best out of the situation that we have. And the only way is we can get into a very effective, friendly, diplomatic engagement between us and India and our neighbor. And that's what this government is trying to do. See, this is much easier to generalize thing, to come up with a generalized statement, much easier to antagonize people by sensationalizing them with some provocative words, but it is much difficult to come up with the solution. And that's what exactly this government is trying to do.
Yes,
they're trying to solve the problem.
Right.
And is there any other way but to do this? To engage yourself with India?
The problem of enclaves, the problem of porous border,
Absolutely.
Smuggling, the BSF shooting.
Right.
There's numerous problems. If we can settle
Numerous problems and numerous progress as
Progress.
well. Let me tell you how. See, the BSF shooting has become a big issue in our country, and it is, because I just don't like to accept the fact that our people being shot and killed in the border. But what can you do about it? One thing you can do in our country, you can keep complaining about it, create an anti-Indian sentiment, and try to bag some votes out of this process. Another way, what you can do is engage ourselves with India and try to reduce it, and eventually reduce it down to zero. And this is what exactly this government is trying to do. And let me give you statistics on this particular issue. From 2001 to 2010, the totals approximately 650 number of our citizens were killed in the border. It's plus minus something, approximately 650. In 2006, in the year itself, the number was highest, 106, and in 2010 it came down to 31, and this year it is 17. So there's a significant progress that we can see. And I would like to add something to it. Is when we're dealing with the data of the death, then I'm not happy. That is reducing down from 100 to 17. I want to see this to zero. But still I can see a sort of progress. And because of this effective engagement, we are doing it. So we want to appreciate those who are engaging them effectively and trying to do something, making some practical and tangible difference, instead of just sensationalizing people antagonizing people and keep complaining, because this is not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, because the former Indian High Commissioner in Dhaka, Veena Sikri, she was in Dhaka here for a visit, and we were talking about the agreements that are supposed to be signed by the two prime ministers when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh comes here next month. And she said it's taking time because there's a lot of win-win situation in looking for, and there is a lot of diplomatic effort from both sides. So what would you say when
things are getting delayed?
People are complaining about that, but if you are speeding it up, you're selling the country.
Right. You know, the thing is, India is a democratic country, we know this. Bangladesh is also a democratic, in a very strong democratic process. Interestingly, in democracy, things are, it's all evolution. Nothing happens in a revolutionary way. So when we talk when it comes to evolution, things are a bit slower. That's how it is. But we need to put an effort to speed it up. I agree with that. At the same time, I'd like to mention this, that to Delhi, Dhaka has never been a priority. This is also very true. All of their focus were in Pakistan or in China or something like this. But now the scenario is being changing. And now Bangladesh is getting much more priority and importance, and for many reasons. And one of the reasons, let me tell you this, that the potential that we have and the potential of our economic development is actually showing a huge prospect. And let me give you a little recognition from the Western countries that you've gotten very recently. You know, the Goldman Sachs, a few days back, they came up with a ranking of the 4 countries. They used to call them the BRIC countries. They're the biggest upcoming economic giant, like the Brazil and India and China and Russia.
Yes.
And they came up with another 11 countries right after them. That was the next 11, and Bangladesh was one of them. But after this, Citigroup, they came up with another group of countries, and this time they came up with 11 countries, and they called them the 3G countries.
3G, absolutely.
The global growth generator. And both India and Bangladesh in this 3G countries. So Bangladesh used to belong to the second league. Now both India and Bangladesh belong to the first league, and only Bangladesh and India from the South Asia is into this in one of these 11 countries. So you have to understand, Bangladesh is getting stronger. Bangladesh is, even democracy, if you look into any other Muslim majority countries, Bangladesh is always come back to democracy, and
but even the finance minister himself warned yesterday that political instability will cost Bangladesh very heavily.
No, that is true, but compared to other countries, we still have democracy. We have political instability, I understand that, but it is still, we have corruption in different area. We have political instability, many other negative aspects, but still it is 10 times better than autocratic and military rule.
Definitely. Coming back to the economics report, it has been very critical about the transit facility that Bangladesh and India is expected to sign, and it says here that more striking is India's army might try supplying expanding divisions parked on the high on the border with China. Now, this is kind of a statement that the Bangladesh's opposition has been making, that this could happen. So it's just like taking it out from the leaflet of the opposition and putting it there.
Exactly. This is an absurd claim.
And you told me that you have done a lot of work on connectivity.
I've done some research on this. Look, this is never going to happen. This is beyond the scope of this agreement, that going through some of the weapons and ammunitions and military activity through this transit. It is absolutely beyond the scope of this. Basically, transit, you have to look at it this way. Bangladesh has an advantage, geographical locational advantage. And because of this, we can sell certain services. We have 2 ports, and we can look for a bigger one in Chittagong itself. But these ports are actually underutilized. So now you can ask me, like, how about in the Chittagong port, we see lots of congestions and all that. Majority of this is because of the management problem, not because of the capacity problem. The Mongla port is absolutely underutilized. There's only 20% of that is being used. So this port can be, the services, the facilities can be sold off to India, to Nepal and Bhutan. We're thinking of from a regional point of view. It's not between India and Bangladesh. And look at this here. To sell these services, it's only these 3 countries who are the market for this. No other countries in the world has any interest at all. And if we can do this successfully, we can do this, there's a huge economic benefit for us. There's a research that shows like we can earn some direct benefit like $1 billion per year out of this. And there are many other subliminal benefits that you can't even imagine.
And when roads and rail links develop, automatically the areas develop also.
Absolutely. Hey, this is another catch. Let me clarify that. You know, even if you give the permission at this moment, there's no way the total potential that you have, we can capture more than 10% of that, because we do not have the infrastructure.
Right.
But we have to build this. And there's another research done by ADB, and that's what they've shown, that we need to spend around $24 billion to develop the infrastructure to capture the 100% potential of the transit. But all the developments will be made within Bangladesh. So we'll get the full advantage of the transit, and because of the development of this, our entrepreneurs within our country are going to be much more competitive and efficient, because their trade transaction cost is going to come down. And what we're saying is, we'll let India go to the northeast, but we want access to mainland India, right? You know, in exchange of that. And they have some product in the negative list. We're pressing on that, and they sort of agreed that they're going to reduce that, and we want this to be zero. So our entrepreneur, once, because of this development, is going to be more competitive. They can compete with Indian entrepreneurs, not only in the northeast, but also in the mainland India. And our economic development is going to be like anything that we can imagine at this moment.
Right. And this is the last question before we run out of time. Is the Economist has said that corruption still flourishes here, and India is wrong in depending on Sheikh Hasina heavily.
It is not India. Let me. What my understanding is, actually, whoever thinks positive, you know, it's a friendship between these two. When Bangabandhu was coming back to Bangladesh after he was freed from the Pakistan jail, you know, he's dropped by in India.
Yes.
And in his speeches he mentioned, people ask him how he's so friendly with Indira Gandhi. He said it is the friendship is of the similar thought, similar ideology, and similar principle. So basically, it's not between Sheikh Hasina and Sonia Gandhi, or between Awami League and Congress. Between the people of both the countries, and among this, all the countries, even people of Pakistan as well, those who think positive, those who think progressive, those who want to move forward, those who don't believe in the negative politics, those who don't believe in dishonesty in politics, these people should, you know, create a network for the betterment of the and a better future of the people of this region. So that should go on. Do you think in India, all the other political parties, a few other we know about, and they're fundamentalists, they're not progressive, not quite democratic, not quite secular, do you think there'll be a good friendly relationship with Awami League with those parties? I don't think so. Because it is not India, it's a Congress, you have to understand. Right. So that's how I see it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arafat, for joining us this evening. Hope to have you back here, and I think our viewers have enjoyed what you said on the Economist report.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, I don't need to add anything more. Mr. Arafat has explained in quite a details about the report on the Economist. I can only say that as a journalist, my editor, or if I was editing, I would not have printed this without sourcing such serious allegations. Thank you for watching.